But let's turn to the breaking news at the moment. West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee has met Sharad Pawar this afternoon, and we have now the details. Mr. Pawar has been offered by Mamata to become the opposition's candidate for president. Sources saying Mr. Pawar has declined the offer. Mamata Banerjee is likely to raise Mr. Pawar's name again tomorrow at a formal opposition meeting. Sharad Pawar has told India Today he wants to remain in active politics. Aam Aadmi Party MP Sanjay Singh also met Pawar to ask him to reconsider his decision. But sources close to the NCP leader saying he's firm on his view. He will not be the presidential candidate. So that's the big story that's coming in at the moment. Sharad Pawar in that meeting with Mamata Banerjee this afternoon. Mamata Banerjee is in Delhi. She wants to put the opposition together and put up a joint candidate. Remember, in terms of total numbers, it's a close race between the BJP-led NDA and the opposition. But the key are leaders like Jagan Reddy of Andhra Pradesh, Naveen Patnaik, Odisha, Nitish Kumar in Bihar, who are unlikely to back an opposition candidate. And therefore, the numbers eventually are likely to be in the BJP's favor. Sharad Pawar has now ruled himself out, says he wants to remain in active politics, has therefore declined Mamata Banerjee's offer that he should be the opposition's candidate for Chief Minister. So that's the news that's coming in at the moment. Remember, the presidential elections scheduled for 18th of July. Paulomi Saha is joining us. She's been tracking all the developments. Paulomi, now that it appears Mr. Pawar has declined the offer that Mamata Banerjee gave him, the opposition has very few choices. And it appears that the likes of Jagan Mohan Reddy in any case will back the government.
And that's exactly why, in fact, among the 22 people, leaders and opposition CMs that Mamata Banerjee wrote to the YSRCP or Jagan Mohan Reddy doesn't feature. So an invitation hasn't even gone out to the YSRCP, though it has gone out to the BJD, to Mr. Naveen Patnaik. Yes, now after Mr. Pawar has, of course, backed out of the race, something that he conveyed first earlier in the day to Sitaram Yechury and D. Raja, who met him, and later in the day to Ms. Mamata Banerjee. After he's ruled himself out of the race, the choices are very limited. There is, of course, the name of Ghulam Nabi Azad, which is doing the rounds as well, which some say the NCP is suggesting as a probable candidate for the presidential elections. And then there's the possibility of the TMC proposing the name of party vice president, national vice president, Yashwant Sinha as well. Now, all of that will become clear tomorrow after the opposition meeting happens, where formally once more Ms. Mamata Banerjee is expected to propose the name of Sharad Pawar. He's going to decline, and then they're going to mull on the name of a consensus candidate. According to Sitaram Yechury, they'll have a name by the 21st of June.
Okay, but either way, the opposition will find it very difficult to bring everyone together on a consensus on a single name. So it appears all eyes will be on Mr. Modi and the BJP when it comes to Rashtrapati. Paulomi Saha joining us with those details. We look forward to tomorrow's Mamata Banerjee meeting. Now, all eyes, though, politically today were once again on Congress MP and leader Rahul Gandhi, because after being questioned for 10 hours on Monday by the Enforcement Directorate, Rahul Gandhi was back at the ED office for day 2 of his questioning. ED sources telling India Today that Mr. Gandhi was evasive on many questions and the agency was not satisfied with his answers. The Congress says the ED is engaging in plain and simple harassment of their leader. Here's a report.
Day 2 of Rahul Gandhi's ED grilling in Herald money laundering case, and Congress muscle flexing is on full display again. High political drama unfolded on day 2 of Congress MP Rahul Gandhi's ED grilling in the National Herald case. After being questioned for nearly 10 hours on Monday, Rahul summoned for the second day, headed to Congress headquarters with sister Priyanka Gandhi before heading to ED office. Top Congress leaders and workers marched in solidarity with the Gandhis, staging massive protests. Several were detained by the Delhi police, kicking and screaming after much effort by the cops. Youth Congress chief B.V. Srinivas was seen having a massive tussle with the cops outside the ED office. Cops were seen carrying the Congress neta and pushing him into the bus.
किसी की हत्या ही हो रही है, आप समझ लो देश के अंदर। ये देशवासियों को समझना पड़ेगा। खाली धर्म के नाम पर राजनीति कब तक करते जाओगे?
While the Congress claims that the centre is driven by vendetta, the BJP was quick to hit back, calling it a stunt to save scamster Gandhis.
आश्चर्य का विषय कि भ्रष्टाचार भी करेंगे और जब भ्रष्टाचार के विषय में पूछताछ होगी, जब भ्रष्टाचार के विषय में कानूनी कार्यवाही होगी, तो उस पे ड्रामा भी करेंगे और उसमें सड़क भी रोकेंगे, उसमें कहीं न कहीं कानून से ऊपर अपने आप को मानेंगे।
वो नौकरियां छीनते जाएंगे, राहुल गांधी और कांग्रेस नौकरियों पर सवाल पूछेगी, वो भाईचारा मिटाएंगे, हम प्यार के बीज अंकुरित करते जाएंगे।
ED sources told India Today that Rahul, on day one of grilling, appeared cautious and tutored by his lawyers, adding that Rahul was evasive and the agency is not satisfied with his answers.
In day 2 of his summons, Rahul Gandhi has already been questioned for over 2 hours. The questions pertain to the inconclusive answers from day 1 and fresh set of questions regarding the transaction details between AJL and Young India Private Limited. The day also saw a repeat of protests by Congress workers outside the Enforcement Directorate office, post which they were detained by the Delhi police. With Munish Pandey and video journalist Ankit Khandelwal, this is Shreya Chatterjee for India Today.
Now, while Rahul Gandhi was being grilled by the Enforcement Directorate in Delhi, an 8-member team of the CBI went knocking on the doors of the TMC leader Abhishek Banerjee. The CBI team questioned Abhishek's wife in connection with a coal scam. So, both in Kolkata and in Delhi, opposition leaders under the scanner. And that is really my talking point at the moment. Is the Enforcement Directorate singling out opposition leaders? That's our big breaking story. Let's turn to our face-off. Syed Zafar Islam is the BJP's MP. Supriya Srinath is Congress spokesperson. Is the Enforcement Directorate being selective? We hope to also be joined by Karnail Singh, former ED director. Now, before I come to you, I want to put out a graphic and I want every viewer to look at this closely. Many opposition leaders are linked to investigations by central agencies. Take a look at the list. Sonia Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi facing IT ED probes in the National Herald case. Robert Vadra, son-in-law of Sonia Gandhi, ED probe on Bikaner land deal, but we don't know where that's going. P. Chidambaram, who's gone to jail in a case, is facing CBI and ED probes in the INEX media case. He was arrested. Karthi Chidambaram faces CBI ED probes in the INEX media case. Now another CBI probe for facilitating visa for Chinese workers. Bhupinder Singh Hooda, former Haryana Chief Minister, is still under CBI and ED probes in a case relating to land allocation in Panchkuya. D.K. Shivkumar, Congress president in Karnataka, facing IT ED probes. He's also gone to jail in cases of unaccounted wealth and money laundering. Sharad Pawar and Ajit Pawar are facing an ED probe in the Maharashtra State Cooperative Bank scam. Mr. Pawar has also appeared before the ED. Former Maharashtra Minister Anil Deshmukh in jail under ED probe in a money laundering case. Maharashtra Minister Nawab Malik in the ED probe in a money laundering case allegedly linked to Dawood Ibrahim, a house that they procured apparently in the 1990s. Sanjay Raut's wife, Shiv Sena leader Varsha Raut, facing an ED probe in a Goregaon redevelopment scheme, PMC bank scam as well. Delhi Minister Satyendra Jain is presently in jail under ED and CBI probes in money laundering. Mamata Banerjee's nephew, we mentioned, Abhishek Banerjee, under CBI and ED probes in the Bengal coal scam. The list goes on and on. I'm going to end it here. Now take a look at the other side of it. Central agencies, are they soft on the BJP? B.S. Yediyurappa, accused of land and mining scam, CBI probe inconclusive. Reddy brothers of Bellary accused in a 16,500 crore mining scam. CBI closed the case in 2017. Remember, they are now in the BJP. Hemanta Biswa Sarma was accused in a bribery scandal while he was in the Congress. It was stopped after he joined the BJP 6 years ago. Shivraj Singh Chauhan was under the scanner in the Vyapam scam. CBI has given him a clean chit. Ramesh Pokhriyal, former Uttarakhand Chief Minister, accused of a role in a land scam, no probe. Narayan Rane, Maharashtra Minister, accused in 300 crore money laundering racket. He's now a union minister. Probe stopped after he joined BJP. Suvendu Adhikari, leader of the opposition in Bengal. The probe has been stopped against him after he joined the BJP in 2020. He was accused in the Narda case. Is the central agency targeting opposition leaders? Syed Zafar Islam, I have gone through the details now. I've shown you all the opposition leaders either in jail or who are being investigated, and look at the government list. I want a straight answer to my question. Is the government of Prime Minister Modi and the Enforcement Directorate and the CBI singling out only the opposition?
There is absolutely no truth in whatever the allegation has been made by the opposition parties. The fact is that these kind of searches were happening even before 2014. Between 2004 and 2014, many searches had happened. But you have to understand that those who are committing crimes are being investigated by the independent agencies. Without it, ED does not approach anyone or everyone. ED approaches only people who have committed crime or there is some level of lead or evidence they have. Unless they have the evidence, unless they have some leads, they will not investigate. They will not approach. They will not do surveys. When they have some leads, they will definitely, it is their responsibility. They have also power. They have been empowered to conduct searches. They have empowered to do investigation, because then only they will be able to unearth all the crimes and the frauds which are happening in the country.
Zafar Islam Saab, you are not, you are not responding to my list. I gave a full list and I will ask my producer to put it out again. All the leaders of the opposition are facing ED, CP. 1 minute. But those who were in the opposition and switched over, Himanta Biswa Sarma, classic example, Mukul Roy, Suvendu Adhikari, the moment they entered the BJP, you become a washing machine. It seems that the BJP is India's washing machine. You enter the government,
not at all.
Agencies stop investigating you.
Not at all. You spoke about Mukul Roy. The case is still there. While he was in BJP, he came from TMC to BJP and he went back to TMC. But even while he was in BJP, he was investigated by CBI. Why do you say that? There has to be some evidence, some merit, some leads. All I am trying to tell you that if these are independent agencies, we have absolutely no role. Just see the figure, how much attachment has been done of money accumulated or the assets which, through unfair practices. 95,000 crore compared to last 10 years, 10 years of UPA were merely 5,300 crore. That only suggests that they were absolutely lenient. ED was doing no work. They were being actually not being allowed to conduct their or discharge their responsibilities efficiently. Today, ED is independently working, pursuing those cases, and there is a merit in every case, because at the end of the day, they have to justify and prove in the court of law.
Sir, you are saying, just a minute.
Not worry, because
sir,
there is a law of the land.
Sir, I will keep pursuing you, because, sir, the fact is, since 2011, ED has conducted 1,700 raids, 1,569 specific investigations, rate increasing by an average of 20% a year, only 9 convictions obtained as of February this year. And you are coming on this program and telling me the ED is functioning efficiently? If they are not able to get convictions and are only singling out opposition leaders, it appears that the ED is being used by your government to settle scores with the opposition.
Mr. Rajdeep Sardesai.
Yes.
Let me pose you another question, and you need to respond to that as well. What is the conviction rate in lower court, high court, Supreme Court, and all the other courts of the country? You see, it is not the job of the agency, it is not the job of the government to pronounce judgment. The judgment is pronounced by the court, and it is up to the judges, and they have to decide on the basis of whatever they feel appropriate.
Sir,
we cannot interfere there.
Okay.
In the court procedure, we cannot interfere in the working of the ED. They are both independent. They are independently pursuing the case. We, as a government, cannot stop an independent agency from discharging
Sir,
their responsibility.
you are using the word. You are using
not to pronounce judgment.
You are using the word independent so often that I almost believe that the ED has finally got independent. Remember, the enforcement director was given a 2-year extension. The law was changed to benefit him just 1 week before he was due to retire. But be that as it may, Supriya Shrinet, respond to what Syed Zafar Islam is saying. He is saying ED functions independently. If dal mein kuch kala hai, isliye the opposition leaders are being investigated. Look at the amount of property that has been attached. For example, in the case of a Nawab Malik or other cases, they are saying we are going by the rule of law.
I don't think anybody, you, me, or even Zafar Islam believes what he is saying. My good friend Zafar Islam, though, said something very nice here. आपने एक सच बोला और मैं उसके लिए आपको धन्यवाद देती हूँ. आपने कहा, the government is not here to pronounce judgment, the courts must do that. आपने योगी आदित्यनाथ को अच्छा मैसेज दिया है. बुलडोजर से सरकार नहीं चलती है. कोर्ट्स को, न्यायपालिकाओं को ताला नहीं लगाया जा सकता. Thank you for saying that. However, I will come back to the fact that Zafar Islam has never sounded as unconvinced as he does now. He has to repeatedly say ED is independent. I will tell you why it is not independent. It is not just political opponents who they try to intimidate and settle political scores with. Whenever they want to topple a democratically elected government, whenever they fall short of numbers, whenever they want to intimidate their own people, bureaucrats, academicians, journalists, ED, income tax, CBI are the new frontals of the BJP. This is no coincidence कि जब सरकार गिराने होते हैं इनको कहीं को तो वहीं पर ईडी पहुंच जाती है. अशोक गहलोत जी के घर ईडी पहुंच गई, भूपेश बघेल जी क्या ईडी पहुंच गई. लेकिन इन्होंने एक ऐसी नई वैतरणी गंगा बनाई है जहां पर आप आएंगे, आपके सारे दाग धब्बे धुल जाएंगे और आप बीजेपी में पाक साफ होके पहुंच जाएंगे. ये एक नई गंगा बीजेपी ने बनाई है. So stop calling these agencies independent. Yes, they have become frontals of the BJP, and I have no qualms in saying that.
No, Supriya Shrinet, 1 minute.
Let me finish.
No. I won't let you finish till I ask you. I want to know the way you are saying it, that you believe ED is a frontal organization of this government. What about the courts? Are you saying the courts are also compromised? Otherwise, the court should be squashing many of these investigations, saying they are malified. If an investigation is malified, you can go to the court and say that it's a malified investigation. Please quash it.
In 8 years of its existence and complete persecution by this government, have the ED, CBI been able to persecute one person? What is their conviction rate? They do not have the material. The courts, of course, are under obligation if the ED is going ahead and filing PMLA cases. Like in this particular case against Mr. Gandhi, my senior colleague Mr. Chidambaram did clarify on your show yesterday, but I want to raise this question again. Where is the FIR in respect of a scheduled offense? There is no FIR, and without an FIR, ED cannot pursue a PMLA case, but they are. So imagine how the law is being circumvented. I also want to say one very important thing here. The issue here is that the BJP completely indulges in reputation assassination. आप लोगों की रेपुटेशन को असैसिनेट करते हैं, आप लोगों की रेपुटेशन को बर्बाद करने का काम करते हैं, and sections of the media join the chorus. That is the reality, Rajdeep. There is no other reality. I think a 4-year child on the road will tell you the agencies have become mere frontals and tools of the BJP.
Ma'am, there is also, Supriya Shrinet, there is also a reality that in this particular case, private complaint was originally filed by Subramaniam Swamy in 2012. We are now in 2022, 10 years later. The court, one minute, ma'am. The court has not quashed the IT probe or now the ED investigation, albeit no FIR you claim is there in the ED probe. Number 2, Robert Vadra's case. ED has not given him relief. He could have got relief and the the court could have given him relief, saying that the case is a bogus case. In several of these cases, in Nawab Malik's case, in Anil Deshmukh's case, in all these cases I have listed out of the opposition, if they are all bogus cases, go to the court and get the cases quashed. The fact is, Mr. Chidambaram also has eventually got bail from the courts.
But
Are
Rajdeep,
these all you're saying bogus cases?
But Rajdeep, that is a very flawed argument. If a case is being leveled by the CBI and the ED against you, you will have to fight it out in court. And that's exactly what opposition leaders and other members of this society who are being persecuted by the BJP are doing.
No, why not go for quashing? You have not successfully got the cases quashed. that means the prima facie a case exists.
No. Rajdeep, let me first point out one small thing to you here, which is being missed out in a lot of debates. The ED, the same enforcement directorate, had actually shut this case with no merit. Remember, take the clock back to 2014-15. This case was shut by the ED. What did the BJP do? It removed then director, unko padmukt kiya, dusre ko laye, phir se case khola. Is this not political vendetta? And this is a very flawed argument that let the court squash. If the government is producing fallacious arguments, if the government is producing half-baked truth and complete lies, the courts will have to entertain those pleas. Obviously, we are in court to get to get a verdict, and which is exactly what everybody in the opposition is doing. I have only one question to ask Zafar Islam. Rahul Gandhi जी के खिलाफ क्या केस है आपके पास? कौन सा proceeds of crime है? कौन सा scheduled offense हुआ है? कौन सी FIR आपने लॉन्च करी है वो दिखाइए. और दूसरी चीज, राहुल गांधी और सोनिया गांधी जी के खिलाफ जो ED में केसेस हुए थे वो तो 2014-15 में बंद कर दिए गए थे. आपने तब डायरेक्टर को हटाकर अपने आदमी को वहां पे बिठाया, उसको एक्सटेंशन पे एक्सटेंशन दिए यही काम करने के लिए. You have started resorting to using these agencies as your private frontals, as your private tools to set the opposition right.
Ma'am, you made that point. You want to respond to that, Zafar Islam? Because look at the perception. Look at the perception. A former CBDT commissioner is made an election commissioner. Another IT commissioner becomes Rajya Sabha General Secretary General. These posts were not generally with the IRS, but you've given it to them. The ED director through law, just a minute, ma'am, you must allow me to ask my question. I am the anchor. You're still not, you're a politician now, not a TV anchor. But I must ask the question to you, Zafar Islam. The fact is, therefore, including the ED director, ED director who gets a two-year extension term just before he is to retire, all of that suggests somewhere that the government is using officers to serve a particular political end. All those figures, I will put those graphics up again. Are you telling me that in Bengal, Shuvendu Adhikari is now clean because he has joined you? Are you telling me that Hemanta Biswa Sarma is clean because he joined you? Are you telling me Yediyurappa is suddenly clean because he joined you? Are you telling me Ishwarappa does not have 40% commission? Narayan Rane, thank you for reminding me, but I must tell you, I am still the anchor, ma'am. Please tell me, are all these people...
Zafar asked you a question, you had no objection.
Madam,
why do you have an objection if I have a question?
No, I am asking that, let's not...
Can I just respond to...
No, you answer my question. Answer my question. How is it that only the opposition leaders seem to be before the ED?
I'm answering your question, Mr. Anchor.
Yes.
First of all, see, you will have to dig the past. You will have to do a back testing just to understand whether the government has given extension, whether government has given any retiring officers to any other position, or it is the first time which has been happened during Modi regime. You have to first dig and bring those details. I have an empty number of such cases where I can produce to you where the serving officers, when he retired, he was given position in the government. I mean, this is not the first time which is happening, and it is very unfair on your part to make this kind of a statement where
no, you changed the law in parliament. You changed the law in parliament. You changed the law in parliament to ensure an extension.
So, no, it's okay. This is not change. Not change for a particular officer. Change for for all the ED officers who will come, ED director who will enjoy this benefit because all these officers need a particular set time frame to work on such a PMLA case or such sensitive cases. You are only highlighting that because of some of the people who think that they are influential enough, that they are above the constitution, above the institutions of this country. That's why when they are being called by the ED, they go with Bharat. But there are many other people which have been approached that they are not they don't make it a high profile case. But there are n number of people who have committed crime. They have been approached by ED and they have been investigated by ED. Just to put a contrast, when the Honorable Prime Minister, when he was questioned by SIT, Supreme Court constituted SIT, he didn't make any hue and cry. He didn't go with the entire
he was very sidelined by your own party
Karyakarta of BJP. He went alone. But look here, Here, what exactly? He is above the institution. This family is above the institution.
Can
Why
I
he
please
needs to be
come in now?
questioned?
Because
The
this is
entire
descending
No, ma'am.
chief
No,
minister,
ma'am.
from their ministers to their Rajya Sabha members, they are the politicians. Everybody is going in the barat. Why?
Sir, you've nicely
I mean, if
changed.
you have committed a crime,
okay, that's
you
a
don't
fair.
go with the barat.
That's a fair
Let-
question.
let-
That's a fair question. You didn't answer my central question whether Suvendu Adhikari, Mr. Yediyurappa, Mr. Narayan Rane, the names that I mentioned,
No, I mean,
Himanta Biswa Sarma,
let me tell
are
you,
they all
let me respond to
innocent?
that question.
Yes.
Let me respond to that question.
Yes.
No, let me respond. Rajdeep, let me tell you one thing very candidly. You find one corruption cases within BJP and our government. There is a zero tolerance, and anything which will surface, trust me,
Yes.
our party leadership will not spare, whether it's however senior leader is, he will not.
You made
he will
Narayan
not
Rane
spare.
a union
So
minister
very, we are
again.
absolutely
You have
clear.
made
The
Mr.
corruption-
Narayan Rane a union minister against whom there are continuing serious corruption charges in Maharashtra. But that's your view that the BJP has zero tolerance for corruption. I am a journalist who believes that in many ways every political party today has a high tolerance for corruption. But I
Can
will
I
give a
please
final
comment?
word. Supriya Shrinen, the point that Zafar Islam made is my concluding point. This is an ED investigation. You believe it's malified, fair enough. You believe that your leaders are being singled out, fair enough. But why do you need to hit the street and make a public spectacle? Sharad Pawar walked to the ED office a few years ago and went and faced the ED. Why not just go and do that? Why this surround sound, this tamasha are more loyal than the king? Rahul bachao ya desh bachao?
I will answer your question, but I will first talk about the BJP's corruption. आपके crony capitalism की तो स्टोरी श्रीलंका तक सुनाई जा रही है. वहां के ऑफिसर्स बता रहे हैं कि मोदी जी कह रहे हैं अडानी जी को कॉन्ट्रैक्ट दो. तो do not sit on this high pulpit and teach us on corruption, because आपने तो इंटरनेशनल झंडे गाड़ दिए हैं भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने. First things first. As far as Rahul Gandhi ji is concerned, this is a completely fabricated case. I wish we had discussed the merits of this case, which
I've
we perhaps
discussed
did
that
not
yesterday,
have time
ma'am.
to.
I've discussed that
Yes,
yesterday.
Good for you. Good for you and the show. And if we had discussed that, it is within our rights to stand with our leader. अरे आपको नरेंद्र मोदी जी बिल्कुल साइडलाइन थे उस समय, उनसे कोई बात करना नहीं चाहता था, उनके साथ कोई दिखना नहीं चाहता था भारतीय जनता पार्टी में, तो उनके साथ जाता कौन? That is the reality. We want to stand with our leader because our leader represents a voice
He was the
that
chief
constantly
minister, ma'am.
questions the government.
Everybody would have
that
accompanied
constantly
him.
holds the government accountable, that puts the government in the dock without compromising and without being scared by your antics, without being intimidated. And so it is our moral responsibility to stand with him in his hour of need.
Okay.
And we will. And no power on earth can stop us from doing what is our fundamental right. Because Rahul Gandhi
Can I
represents the
just-
voice
No,
that you
that's it.
cannot silence. That
Now,
you
can
cannot
I just
shut up.
No,
one
I'm
sentence I would like to
completely out
say.
of time. I appreciate both of you joining us. I've given both of you equal
One
time.
sentence, only one sentence.
Yeah, what is your
One
sentence? What is the
Then I
sentence?
will also have
One
one sentence
sentence.
to say by
Yes.
the way.
Only sentence.
I will also
What
have
is your one
to
sentence?
That is why Congress party is known a party
I
of
will
fraud
also
and
have one
fraudster.
sentence
When
to
you are
say.
siding with a
Sri Lanka
fraudster,
में जाके
that's the
अडानी
way
जी के लिए
people
contract मांगते हैं
people
मोदी
know
जी.
Congress
ये
party.
किया आपने
Party
देश
of
का
fraud
हाल.
and fraudsters.
Sri Lanka
Okay,
is
let me
telling
leave
us
it
that
there.
the Prime
Thank you
Minister
both very
slowly-
much for joining me. At the end of the day, I'm afraid that we need a much more transparent investigation process. Whoever is being investigated, there needs to be clarity on how the investigation proceeds. Unfortunately, in this country, that's why there's a sense of partisanship. Let's turn from there to another story that has been making the headlines. Today, a group of former judges and senior lawyers have approached the Supreme Court, protesting against what they called is the manner in which bulldozer politics is taking off in this country. Their specific reference was to the Uttar Pradesh events of the last week, where, remember, the home of an alleged rioter was bulldozed by the UP government. The question, therefore, is what is the reality on the ground? And is bulldozer politics unconstitutional, as these judges are pointing out? 3 former Supreme Court judges, in fact, calling the bulldozer action today a subversion of law. In Prayagraj, Allahabad, where the bulldozer worked, take a look at the atmosphere of fear on the ground.
Uneasy calm in Prayagraj. Days after violent clashes and a bulldozer crackdown, normalcy is yet to return to this city in Uttar Pradesh. tension prevails in Prayagraj after clashes that broke out during the protest against the BJP's now suspended spokesperson Nupur Sharma and her comments on the Prophet. Shopkeepers and locals are living scared. They claim their businesses have totally collapsed in the wake of the protests and violence.
जिस दिन से हिंसा हुई है उस दिन से ये डर और भय लोगों के अंदर है। हम ये चाहते हैं कि जो है हमारे शहर के प्रशासन जो है अनाउंसमेंट करें कि भाई अपने अपने दुकान को खोल दें, क्योंकि दुकान जब खुली रहेगी तो थोड़ा सा लोगों को राहत मिलेगी और लोगों को तमाम जो दिक्कतें वो दूर रहेंगी।
दुकानें बंद ये सिर्फ फोर्स की वजह से, फोर्स यहाँ पे हट जाए और अनाउंसमेंट हो जाए तो ये यहाँ पे सब दुकानें खुलने लगी, क्योंकि अभी फोर्स लगी रहेगी तो कोई भी दुकान खुले कोई कस्टमर आएगा नहीं।
The locals fear a repeat of the violent clashes after key accused Javed Mohammad's house was demolished on Sunday. Javed's lawyer claims the house was in Javed's wife's name and they've been paying house tax and other levies regularly.
कोई कानून बुलडोजर के लिए इजाजत नहीं देता, या आप कंपाउंडिंग करते या उस मकान को सील करते या उसको रेगुलराइज करते, आप एक फर्जी नोटिस लगाकर जिसमें झूठे तमाम पुराने डेट के का झूठा हवाला देकर आप 24 घंटे का अवसर नहीं दिए उस मकान को गिरा दिए। ये कानून की धज्जी उत्तर प्रदेश में विकास प्राधिकरण के लोग जिला प्रशासन के सहयोग से उड़ा रहे हैं।
India Today has learned that the Prayagraj police has handed over a list of 37 suspects to the Prayagraj Development Authority seeking strict action.
सभी कम्युनिटी के लोग हमारे भाई बंधु हैं, मित्र हैं। मुकदमा दर्ज है, 70 नामजद हैं, कुछ अज्ञात हैं। उन्हीं की गिरफ्तारी हो रही है। ऐसे लोग जो जिनको उकसाया गया नाबालिग हैं, उन पे हम विचार करेंगे। अगर वो खराब प्रवृत्ति के नहीं होंगे तो उन पे ध्यान दिया जाएगा, विचार किया जाएगा, निर्णय लिया जाएगा।
There's heavy police presence in the area where protests turned violent after Friday prayers. The shops in the locality have been closed since then. With Samad Srivastav in Prayagraj, UP, Bureau Report, India Today.
So let's therefore ask that big question. Is this bulldozer Raj constitutional or not? Joining me now, very special guest, Justice Govt Mathur is former Chief Justice of the Allahabad High Court. Therefore, you have every locus to answer this question which I put to you. Do you believe this bulldozer justice is prima facie illegal, or can it be justified by the state as punitive or remedial action against those destroying public property, those allegedly involved in riots? How do you see it, Justice Mathur?
Can this type of action can ever be a fair action? This is highly unjust. You see, merely on the basis of some apprehensions that they participated in some protest or some illegal construction was raised, this can't be demolished in this manner. This bulldozer justice we heard much back in 1976 at Turkman Gate time. And then now it is highly unjust. That was deprecated. And this is also required to be deprecated. It can't be permissible where rule of law prevails.
You're making a very important point, Justice Mathur. You're saying this is back to the Turkman Gate period, Indira Gandhi's time, when there was demolition that took place in the heart of the capital. Let me push you therefore on that. Are you saying this is prima facie illegal because in this case no adequate notice was served as is claimed, and therefore due process was not followed, because the government is saying that they had issued notices for illegal structures belonging to Javed Mohammed, who they claim was involved in the riots? Are you saying that's the problem, or the timing of it?
You see, when we are talking about the due process of law, then it includes so many things. Because whether this property belongs to Mr. Javed or his wife or his daughter, this is still disputed. Now, if any notice was given to Mr. Javed, whether that was sufficient, whether a reasonable time was given, and now you see, even if we assume that it was an illegal construction, then too, it was not proper to just come on the holiday and to demolish that. At least a breathing time should have been given to approach the court. I fail to understand that why the governmental authorities, why the Prayagraj Development Authority, they are afraid of courts. If this were nothing, the sky was not going to fall in a day, they would have taken this action on Monday or Tuesday. That was the appropriate time. They would have approached to the court.
So it's interesting. You're seemingly questioning both the timing and the manner it's been done. But Justice Mathur, there will be those today who will say, listening to you, saying that, look, the rule of the law will take a very long time. Due process in our country takes a long time, particularly if the state has to go through the process of framing charges. These can be challenged. This will take years. The violent protests continue and there is no deterrent to them. The state, according to those in the government, is sending out a strong message that we will not tolerate anyone taking law into their own hands. This is swift justice in a way. That is what bulldozer justice. It is swift, short-circuited justice. Justice Mathur?
You see, judiciary is also a state of, is a face of a state. It is legislature, it is executive, and it is the judiciary. All these three faces of the state. Now, whether it will take time or not, this is the law. If it takes time, then we have to face it. We can't ignore law. Otherwise, one day we will say that even in a murder case, no trial is required. We have seen a person killing somebody, so just hang him. This is the country where even Kasab faced the trial. We are having a complete set of law to deal with criminal cases, and we, the executive, have ample power to administer in accordance with law. They can't now hear the executive itself is taking law in their hands. This is not permissible. They can't behave like criminals.
You made an important point. You're saying this is a country, and I want to repeat this for our viewers, this is a country where even Ajmal Kasab, the prime accused who was caught in the terror operation of 26/11, was also given a fair trial. And you're saying, therefore, that is not an argument. But, you know, Justice Mathur, what is also worrying is that many activists are suggesting this is happening to target a particular community. We saw in Khargone in Madhya Pradesh during the Ram Navami celebrations, in Jahangirpuri during a Shobha Yatra, and in Uttar Pradesh, a pattern developing that this is being done, they say, against one community, that is Muslims. Do you go along with that? Do you believe this is selective in its application?
You see that the administrator, executive must know when an action is required to be taken. I'm not saying that the government is biased towards a community, but a good administrator must know that when a step is required to be taken, when to keep the wings or clipped. Here, now few days earlier at Jahangirpuri, prior to that at Khargone, then this entire Nupur Sharma episode, Gyanvyapi Masjid, and then this. So I think this is absolutely immaturity on part of executive. They should have waited for some time. The message floating is that yes, they are acting against a particular section of society.
You know, you're giving us very strong words.
Maybe rightly or wrongly, but the message floated is that they are acting against a particular section.
You know, very strong words are coming from you, Justice Mathur, but I want to ask you this now. The bulldozing of houses has taken place because allegedly the government claims violation of state, municipal and urban colony laws. Do you believe that it is a violation of, in a sense, what is your message to the Yogi Adityanath government or any government today which uses bulldozers against those accused of violence and rioting, and to the judiciary, sir, which is hearing these cases even as homes continue to get demolished? What's your message to the executive and judiciary today?
I would like to say that we are living in a country where rule of law prevails. It is executive, it is a judiciary, or even an ordinary citizen. We are abide by law. Executive can't take any action violating law, or with this assumption that they can do anything, nobody is there to check them. Judiciary will certainly take necessary action in accordance with law. I am having full faith in our system, and I believe that if there is any violation of law, as it appears on face, then necessary action will be taken by the judiciary against the state authorities. The state authority means the authorities of the Prayagraj Development Authority in the instant matter.
Justice Mathur, for joining me here tonight and speaking your mind, saying the state cannot take the law into their own hands. The state must follow due process. You've sent out a strong message. I appreciate you joining us. Now, this is Uttar Pradesh. Our other story gives you the other side because it comes from Maharashtra. Days after a young Muslim teenager was assaulted in Bhiwandi for backing Nupur Sharma and her comments on Prophet Muhammad, the authorities have finally cracked down on those who are using violence against those who want to simply speak out their mind. The Maharashtra police have booked over 100 people for the attack on a young Saad Ansari. Doesn't he also deserve justice? This is the other side of extremist politics. Take a look.
A massive India Today impact. Muslim mob that assaulted 19-year-old engineering student Saad Ansari in Bhiwandi has been booked. India Today was the only channel to report assault on the engineering student by the mob led by a Congress leader which barged inside his house. Saad was slapped for supporting Nupur Sharma. Forced to apologize and read Islamic prayers for appealing for peace. 19-year-old engineering student from Bhiwandi in Maharashtra, Saad Ashfaq Ansari, had to face this angry mob, which barged into his home over a social media post, condemning death threats issued against suspended spokesperson of the BJP. Police have booked around 125 attackers who barged inside Saad's home to assault and abuse him. At least 18 of the assaulters have been identified for rioting and threatening the teenager. Thousands of Muslims took to the streets last week, shouting slogans, pelting stones, burning public property, causing serious injuries to cops. Mobs did not stop there. Led by a local corporator of the ruling Congress party, they forcibly entered the house of Ansari, slapped him, used objectionable words and forced him to read the kalma for not denouncing Nupur.
इंशाल्लाह एफआईआर हो के इस पे जो भी कानूनी कार्रवाई वो होएगी और मैं एक ही मैसेज देना चाहता हूं कि बस अब इसके बाद में अगर किसी ने इस तरीके की बदतमीजी किया, कानून अपना काम करे, हम अपना काम करेंगे।
हम सब कुछ बर्दाश्त कर सकते गए, लेकिन रसूल आज़म सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम की शान में अगर कोई गुस्ताखी करेगा तो हम बर्दाश्त नहीं करेंगे।
His ordeal did not end there. Maharashtra police reached the spot and arrested the student. An FIR was lodged against the boy for hurting religious sentiments. He is currently in police custody. Commonwealth Games gold medalist Yogeshwar Dutt, reacting to India Today report, tweeted in support of the boy, questioning the silence of Nupur Sharma's critiques. Did Ansari pay the price for being a moderate and denouncing open calls to violence and beheading? Bureau Report, India Today.
The message should be loud and clear. All forms of extremism and violence, whether they are Hindus, Muslims, unacceptable. Hate speech, unacceptable. And any attempt made to incite violence, unacceptable. Think about it. Let's take a break. When we return, we'll give you the latest update on brand IPL that's just got bigger. We'll tell you more on the other side. You're watching News Today. News without the noise. Okay, a quick update. The IPL has become the world's second richest sports league after the National Football League of the US. Sony Star has bagged the television rights for 23,575 crore rupees. That's Star, which is the existing broadcaster. Viacom 18 has won the digital rights for a total 23,558 crore rupees. It appears that cricket is the ultimate money spinner. Take a look.
Brand IPL continues to grow further and further. After 3 days of intense bidding, the numbers from the IPL media rights are jaw-dropping. The media rights that include 4 packages for a period of 5 years have been sold for a whopping 48,390 crores. Disney Star backed the television rights for 23,575, while for the digital rights, Viacom made the winning bid of 20,500 crores. The most surprising numbers came for the digital rights of 98 non-exclusive games, which also went to Viacom for 3,258 crores. Rest of the world rights will fetch BCCI 1,057 crores from Times Internet. The amount is astronomical and digital rights have seen a massive jump. Viacom backed the digital rights for both the proposed 410 matches under Package B and the non-exclusive 98 matches under Package C for 5 years. For a period of 5 years, each of the non-exclusive 98 games will cost 33.24 crores. So for the digital rights under Package B and C, Viacom will end up paying 23,758 crores. Now, how much will each IPL match cost in this 5-year cycle? So all 4 packages combined would cost 48,390 crores. The total number of games proposed in the 5-year cycle is 410, which would mean that every game would cost 118 crores. The numbers may surprise many, but the growth and popularity of the IPL ensures that irrespective of the economic health of the country and the world, IPL continues to get bigger and bigger. The Indian Premier League has seen an exponential growth ever since it came into existence in 2008. For the first 10-year cycle, each game used to cost 13.6 crores, which increased to 55 crores per game for the cycle between 2018 to 2022. And now, every game will cost the broadcasters at least 118 crores. These mind-boggling numbers have pushed brand IPL ahead of majority of the leagues globally, including the English Premier League. The question with IPL no longer is how, but how much. Sports Bureau, India Today.
Now that's one side, of course, of the story. Let's now get the Get Real India story, the other side. This is on a day when the Prime Minister said that 10 lakh government jobs vacancies will be filled in the next 18 months. You want to know the truth? The plight is of those aspirants from 2018 who are now taking out a 1,000-kilometer march from Nagpur to Delhi. They cleared the written examination for government jobs, cleared the physical examinations, they have been cleared medically, and yet they await employment. So they are taking this Padayatra to make their grievances heard. These are the students who completed the SSC exam in 2018. Take a look at tonight's Get Real India story.
A walk out of desperation, a 1,000-kilometer journey in searing heat to get their due. These are young people who have qualified as general duty constables in Maharashtra but have not been recruited for 3 years. They aced the written exam, cleared the physical examination in 2019 but are yet to don a uniform.
21 जनवरी को इसका फाइनल मेरिट लिस्ट निकला, जो कि सर 55,000 कैंडिडेट को ज्वाइनिंग मिली और बाकी के जो 4,000 वैकेंसी थी वो अब तक फिलअप नहीं की सर. उसी वैकेंसी के चलते सर हम लोग आंदोलन कर रहे हैं कि जो 4,000 वैकेंसी बची है वो हम लोग मेडिकल फिट युवाओं को दी जाए.
So they set off all the way from Nagpur to get justice in Delhi.
हमारा मांग लेके धरना प्रदर्शन किया सरकार के उधर, तो उसमें कुछ मतलब आश्वासन मिला सब जगह, हर जगह कुछ काम नहीं हुआ.
They are dogged about their mission, despite the hardships faced on the road.
आर्थिक स्थिति बहुत खराब है सर, क्योंकि हम बहुत गरीब घर के बच्चे हैं सर, और हमारे घर में खुद कमाने वाले कोई नहीं है, गरीब घर के बेटियां हैं सर, इसलिए हम लोग को ध्यान नहीं दिया जा रहा है सर। ये हम लोग के साथ सरासर अन्याय हो रहा है सर।
The disappointment among these youth is understandable. Even jobs that have been assigned are lying vacant because of negligence of officials.
मुसीबत इतनी है कि खाने पीने का सामान बहुत ज़्यादा तो साथ में रखे नहीं है इन लोगों ने, लेकिन जितना हो सकता उतना रखा। बाकी आसपास से जब ये निकलते हैं तो जो लोग इनको मिल जाते होंगे, जो गुजरते होंगे, यहाँ से गुजरते हुए इनकी जो मदद हो जाती है, वो तमाम मदद लोग इनकी कर रहे हैं और उसके ज़रिए ही ये लोग अकेले अपने दम पर अब नागपुर से दिल्ली तक का सफ़र तय कर रहे हैं, सिर्फ एक मांग के लिए, और वो मांग है इनकी एक अदद नौकरी।
On Tuesday, the centre announced the Prime Minister had directed the creation of 10 lakh jobs in 1.5 years. Hope for the youth of India, provided that implementation is ensured. With Ravish Pal Singh, Bureau Report, India Today.
When will our politicians therefore walk the talk? That's Get Real India. Our good news today's story as we conclude comes from Taro, just 25 kilometers away from Leh. Established in 1955, a school is the only school in the area. In recent times, it's been losing students who opt for private schools in Leh. But now, thanks to the effort of a school principal, things are changing for the better. As we said, we try and cover this country from Ladakh all the way to Kanyakumari. Thanks for watching. Stay well, stay safe. Good night. Shubhratri.
25 kilometers from Leh is the village of Taru. The only school in the village, which is run by the government, had only 5 students enrolled for 2 years. Many families had left for Leh to ensure their kids' good education. Now, thanks to hard work of teachers and new facilities introduced at the school, the children are coming back. 21 students are enrolled at the Taru school currently.
आपका नाम क्या है बेटी? माही कुमारी। माही जी, आप ये बताओ, जब आप सुबह स्कूल आते तो कितना खुश होता है आप? हाँ? स्कूल आना अच्छा लगता है? हाँ?
The turnaround came after the headmaster of the school, Sonam, and a local youth union conducted awareness campaigns to attract students.
हम तो यही चाहते हैं कि हमने यही सोचा था कि इसी साल 40 तक तो हमारे स्टूडेंट्स आ जाएंगे, क्योंकि यहाँ जितने भी बच्चे आए हैं वो प्राइवेट स्कूल से ही आए हैं। पेरेंट्स ने इतना वो कर लिया है कि हम पर उन्होंने विश्वास रखा है, इसीलिए उन्होंने लाया है हमारे स्कूल में।
Sonam and other teachers had also provided support to the elderly population of the village who were left alone after their families left for Leh. With Bakir Cho in Taru village, Leh, Bureau Report, India Today.